You open your eyes. The room is silent. The air is still. By every logical metric, you should be ready. You have laid in the dark for 8 hours. You have followed the advice of the doctors, the health gurus, and the fitness trackers strapped to your wrist. The device says, recovery, 100%, but you feel like a corpse. There is a gravity in your bones that defies physics. A fog wrapped around your prefrontal cortex, heavy and wet like wool. You do not rise from your bed, you resurrect yourself. You drag your consciousness out of the void, clawing your way back to the surface of reality, not with vigor, but with a sense of dread. Why? Why does a machine that has been charging all night wake up with the battery flashing red? You have been told a lie, a fundamental, structural lie about the nature of human energy. You have been taught to view yourself as a simple mechanical device, a smartphone, a Tesla. Plug it in, wait for the green light, unplug it, and go. You believe that rest equals sleep. You believe that if the body is stationary, the battery is filling up. But you are not a machine. You are a biological ecosystem. And more importantly, you are a psychic vessel. Sleep repairs the hardware. It knits the muscle fibers you tore in the gym. It flushes the adenosine from the brain. It filters the toxins from the liver. Your biological hardware is fine. Your legs work. Your heart pumps. The machine is intact, but the software is corrupted. You wake up exhausted because you did not truly rest. Your body lay still, but your spirit was running a marathon. While your eyes were closed, your mind was still grasping, still calculating, still fearing. You spent 8 hours in a state of low-grade, subconscious warfare, fighting demons that have no names, processing anxieties that have no solutions. You wake up tired because you are carrying the weight of 1,000 unfinished loops. And what is your solution? What is the first thing you do when you realize the engine is cold and the spark is weak? You reach for the loan shark. You stumble to the kitchen. The ritual is automatic. The grinding of the beans, the boiling of the water, the dark, bitter liquid. You look at that cup of coffee not as a beverage, but as a lifeline. You pray to the god of caffeine to grant you the will to exist. You drink, and you feel the jolt. The heart rate spikes, the eyes widen, the hands tremble slightly. You tell yourself, now I have energy. You are wrong. You do not have energy. You have anxiety in liquid form. Let us strip away the marketing and look at the neurochemistry. Caffeine does not give you energy. It contains zero energy. It is a chemical liar. It enters your brain and blocks the adenosine receptors, the sensors that tell your system it is tired. It cuts the brake lines on a car that is already careening downhill. It stimulates your adrenal glands to pump cortisol and adrenaline into your blood. It triggers a fight or flight response. Think about that. You are sitting in a safe kitchen, in a temperature-controlled house with no predators in sight. Yet, you have just tricked your ancient biology into believing you are being hunted by a lion. That vibration you feel, that is not vitality. That is stress. You are burning your reserves to fake a feeling of aliveness. You are borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today. And like any predatory loan, the interest rate is ruinous. By 2 p.m., the debt collector will come calling and you will crash harder than before. But the chemical manipulation is just the surface. The true reason for your exhaustion is not what you put into your body, but what you refuse to close in your mind. You leave the house, you sit at your desk, you open your computer, and here lies the modern tragedy. Imagine your brain is a web browser. How many tabs do you have open right now? Not on your screen. In your head. There is the project due on Friday. Tab open. There is the awkward text message you sent last night and regret. Tab open. There is the bill you need to pay but keep forgetting. Tab open. There is the vague sense that your career is stagnating. Tab open. There is the comparison to your friend who just bought a house. Tab open. There is the fear of the coming war, the economy, the climate. Tab open. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. The human mind has a fatal flaw. It cannot let go of an unfinished task. It holds it in the RAM, the working memory burning glucose, just to keep it accessible. It spins the fan at maximum speed to prevent the system from crashing. You think you are multitasking. You are not. You are thermal throttling. Even when you are sitting in a meeting, appearing calm, your internal CPU is running at 99% usage. You are processing the background noise of your entire life. You are simulating arguments that haven't happened. You are replaying failures from 5 years ago. You are forecasting disasters that will never arrive. You are carrying an invisible backpack filled with stones. Every unmade decision is a stone. Every broken promise to yourself is a stone. Every notification you didn't check is a stone. Is it any wonder you are tired? You are climbing a mountain while carrying the debris of the last decade on your spine. And then, you commit the ultimate act of self-sabotage. You finish your work. You are shattered. You tell yourself, I deserve to relax. I need to switch off. So, you collapse onto the couch. You pull out the black mirror. You open the app. The infinite scroll, the bright colors, the dancing figures, the headlines. You call this downtime. You call this vegging out. This is the greatest lie of the 21st century. Doomscrolling is not rest. Doomscrolling is work. Intense, high-velocity, neurometabolic work. Look at what happens to your brain when you scroll. An image appears. Your brain must instantly identify it. Is it a threat? Is it a mate? Is it food? Text appears. Your brain must decode the symbols, understand the syntax, extract the meaning. An opinion appears. Your brain must compare it to your worldview. Do I agree? Do I hate this? Am I outraged? A lifestyle influencer appears. Your brain instantly compares your life to theirs. You feel a microdose of shame. You feel a microdose of envy. Swipe. New context. A war in a country you've never visited. Empathy triggers. Horror triggers. Swipe. A puppy. Dopamine triggers. Softness triggers. Swipe. A political scandal. Anger triggers. Adrenaline triggers. In 10 minutes of scrolling, you force your brain to process more context switches than your ancestors processed in a lifetime. You are blasting your neural pathways with a fire hose of fragmented data. You are asking your visual cortex, your amygdala, and your dopamine receptors to run a sprint at the speed of light. You are not relaxing. You are filtering the sewage of the internet through your own consciousness. You are doing the work of an algorithm, but you are paying for it with your soul. You are frying your dopamine receptors until they are numb. You are overstimulating your novelty-seeking circuits until simple things like reading a book or sitting in silence or looking at a tree become impossible. They become boring because they are not flashing at 60 frames per second. And when you finally put the phone down, you feel more exhausted than when you picked it up. You feel hollowed out, a husk. This is the reality of your condition. You are not just tired. Tired is what happens after a day of hard, honest labor in the fields. Tired is a noble state that precedes deep sleep. You are not tired. You are depleted. You are a leaky vessel. Imagine a bucket with 100 tiny holes drilled into the bottom. This is your energy system. You pour sleep in at the top. It leaks out through the hole of subconscious stress. You pour food in at the top. It leaks out through the hole of digestion and inflammation. You pour motivation in at the top. It leaks out through the hole of dopamine addiction. You pour focus in at the top. It leaks out through the hole of context switching. You spend your entire life frantically trying to pour more water into the bucket. You buy better mattresses. You buy nootropics. You buy expensive coffee. You buy energy drinks. You listen to motivational speakers who scream at you to grind harder. You are pouring water into a sieve. The problem is not the supply. The universe is full of energy. The sun gives it freely. The air is full of it. Your food is packed with it. The problem is not the input. The problem is the container. You are structurally compromised. You have allowed the modern world to drill holes in your spirit, and now you wonder why you cannot hold a charge. You are trying to drive a car with a punctured fuel tank, and you are blaming the quality of the gas. It is time to stop pouring. It is time to look at the bucket. We need to stop looking for the next stimulant, the next hack, the next pill that promises to override your biology. We need to stop treating the symptoms of the crash and start addressing the architecture of the machine. You do not need more energy. You have enough energy to power a city dormant inside your DNA. You need to stop leaking it. To do this, we must leave the modern world behind for a moment. We must step out of the fluorescent lights of the office and the blue glare of the screen. We must ascend the mountain. We must go back to a time before electricity, before notifications, before the constant humming anxiety of the digital age. We need to speak to the masters of the vessel, the men who could sit in stillness for days without moving, yet possess the power to shatter stone. The men who understood that energy is not something you buy, it is something you cultivate and something you protect. We must understand the diagnosis before we can apply the cure. And the diagnosis is this: you are not tired because you do not sleep. You are tired because you are never truly awake. You are tired because you are never truly still. You are tired because you are at war with the present moment, and war is expensive. It is time to end the war. It is time to seal the cracks. It is time to look at the ancient blueprint of the human soul. To understand why you are broken, we must first look at the schematics of the machine. If you walk into a hospital today and say you are tired, the doctor looks at your blood. He looks for iron. He looks for thyroid levels. He counts your red blood cells. He views the human body as a combustion engine. Fuel goes in, movement comes out. If the car isn't moving, his logic dictates that you simply need more gas. But if you climbed the mist-shrouded peaks of Songshan 1500 years ago and told a Shaolin master you were tired, he would not look at your diet. He would not ask how many hours you slept. He would look into your eyes, see the dullness of the flame, and tell you that you are bankrupt. He would tell you that you have exhausted your Sanbao, the three treasures. This is not poetry. This is not religious superstition. This is an ancient, precise engineering manual for the human vessel. To the Taoist and the monk, you are not just a bag of meat and bones. You are a complex electrical system composed of three distinct layers of energy: Jing, Qi, and Shen. Think of a candle. Jing is the wax and the wick, the physical substance, the fuel source itself. Qi is the flame, the burning, the heat, the action. Shen is the light that the flame casts, the radiance, the awareness, the purpose. You are tired because you are obsessed with the size of the flame, while ignoring that your wax is melted, your wick is charred, and your light is flickering in a chaotic wind. Let us dissect the first treasure, Jing, the essence. In the language of the 21st century, Jing is your hardware. It is your genetics. It is your bone marrow. It is your hormonal baseline. Think of the smartphone in your pocket. Go to the settings. Look at battery health. When you buy the phone, the capacity is 100%. It can hold a massive charge. It is fresh. It is potent. This is the Jing you were born with. It is your inheritance. It is a trust fund of vitality given to you by your ancestors. But Jing is finite. It is not renewable in the way you think. You can recharge the battery daily, that is sleep and food, but you cannot easily repair the degradation of the lithium-ion cells themselves. Every time you pull an all-nighter to meet a deadline for a job you hate, you are not just spending energy, you are degrading the battery. Every time you flood your system with processed sugar and inflammation, you are overheating the device. Every time you indulge in excessive, compulsive pleasure-seeking, draining your vital fluids, you are short-circuiting the motherboard. You are treating a limited resource as if it were infinite. The modern man lives his life like a reckless heir to a fortune, spending his capital instead of living off the interest. You believe that if you crash today, you can just drink 3 espressos tomorrow and fix it. You are wrong. Caffeine does not restore Jing. Caffeine forces the last few drops of energy out of a dying battery. It is like taking a car that is overheating and injecting nitrous oxide into the engine. Yes, you will go faster for a moment, but you are cracking the engine block. You feel old at 25, not because of time, but because of damage. You have burned the candle at both ends, and now you are holding nothing but hot wax. You are a sports car being driven off-road, redlining in first gear, wondering why the smoke is pouring from the hood. But let us assume your hardware is intact. Let us assume you have some wax left. Why are you still stuck? This brings us to the second treasure, qi, the breath, the flow. If Jing is the battery, qi is the Wi-Fi signal. It is the electricity moving through the wires. It is the force of animation. The fundamental law of qi is simple. It must move. Water that rushes down a river remains clear, drinkable, powerful. Water that sits in a puddle becomes stagnant. It grows algae. It breeds mosquitoes. It becomes toxic. Look at your life. Look at your body right now. The modern human is an office chair fixture. You spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day folded into the shape of a cashew. Your hips are tight. Your spine is compressed. Your breath is shallow, barely reaching the bottom of your lungs. Imagine a garden hose. The water is turned on at the source. The pressure is there, but you have stepped on the hose. You have kinked it in 3 places. The water trickles out at the end. Weak and pathetic. You scream at the tap. Give me more pressure. You drink energy drinks to increase the pressure. But the problem is not the source. The problem is the kink. You interpret this lack of flow as fatigue. You feel heavy. Your legs feel like lead. Your head feels like it is stuffed with cotton. You say, I am too tired to exercise. This is the ultimate illusion. You are not tired because you move too much. You are tired because you move too little. That heaviness is not a lack of energy. It is a stagnation of energy. It is toxic buildup. Your lymphatic system, the sewage system of your body, does not have a pump. It relies on movement to clear the waste. When you sit still for 6 hours, you are literally marinating in your own metabolic waste products. The Shaolin monks understood this. They did not develop Kung Fu and Qigong merely to fight bandits. They developed them to pump the qi, to force the current through the blockage, to straighten the hose. A monk does not sit all day. He moves, he strikes, he stretches. He understands that a rigid body houses a rigid mind. You do not need a nap. You need to stand up. You need to shake the vessel until the sediment breaks loose and the water runs clear again. And finally, we arrive at the third and perhaps the most critical treasure in the digital age, Shen, the spirit. If Jing is the hardware and Qi is the electricity, then Shen is the operating system. It is the brightness of the screen, it is the focus of the lens, it is the mind behind the machine. The ancient texts give us a warning. When the Shen is scattered, the Qi is wasted. Imagine a flashlight. If you focus the beam, it cuts through the darkness for a mile. You can see everything. This is high Shen. This is the mind of the master. But if you take the lens off, the light scatters in all directions. It illuminates nothing. It is weak. It is diffused. Yet, and this is the key, the battery consumption is exactly the same. The focused beam and the scattered light burn the same amount of fuel. One is powerful, the other is useless. This is your mind on the internet. Your Shen is not focused. It is fractured. It is shattered into 1,000 jagged shards. You are trying to be everywhere at once. You are listening to a podcast. You are writing an email. You are worrying about a conversation that happened 3 years ago. You are dreading a meeting that happens tomorrow. You are tracking the stock market. You are wondering why you aren't happy. You are doing all of this simultaneously. The monks call this the monkey mind. Xin Yuan, the mind that acts like a drunk monkey, jumping from branch to branch, screeching, throwing fruit, never sitting still. Modern science calls it ADHD. But let us look deeper than the diagnosis. Let us look at the cost. Do you know how much energy your brain consumes? It is 2% of your body weight, but it burns 20% of your calories. That is when it is resting. When you context switch, when you jump from a spreadsheet to Instagram to an email, you are forcing the engine to stop and start, stop and start, stop and start. This is metabolic suicide. You are burning through your brain's glucose reserves faster than a sprinter burns glycogen. You are running your mental CPU at 100% capacity, overheating the fan just to process noise. You are running at max brightness on a phone that is searching for a signal, while playing a video game, while downloading a file, and you wonder why the battery dies by noon. You are not exhausted because the work is hard. You are exhausted because the background processes are killing you. Consider the monk. How does he train for 12 hours a day? How does he wake up at 4 a.m., carry water up a mountain, practice martial arts until sunset, and meditate into the night, and yet his eyes shine like obsidian? How does he have this boundless reservoir? Is he superhuman? No. He is efficient. The monk does not leak. When the monk walks, he is only walking. He is not thinking about the destination. He is not replaying an argument. When the monk eats, he is only eating. He is tasting the rice. He is not scrolling a feed. When the monk fights, he is only fighting. He does not waste a single milliwatt of Shen on future tripping. Think about your own day. How much of your energy goes into simulating reality? You sit in your car and imagine a fight with your boss. Your heart rate goes up, your palms sweat. You dump cortisol into your blood. You burn Jing. You burn Qi. But the fight isn't happening. You are sitting alone in traffic. You are hallucinating. You are paying interest on a debt that no one has asked you to pay. You are fighting battles that exist only in the theater of your mind. The monk has closed the theater. He lives in the raw, brutal, beautiful reality of the now. And because he is here, and only here, his energy is pooled, concentrated, and ready to be unleashed. You, my friend, are a leaking vessel. You have burned your Jing on cheap dopamine and stress. You have stagnated your Qi with a sedentary life. You have scattered your Shen across 1,000,000 digital distractions. You are a Ferrari with a cracked engine block, flat tires, and a driver who is looking at his phone instead of the road. And you are pressing the gas pedal to the floor, screaming at the universe because you aren't moving forward. It is time to take your foot off the gas. It is time to repair the engine. But to do that, we must understand the enemy. We must understand the force that has been designed specifically to shatter your shen and harvest your attention. We must speak of the vampire in your pocket. You hold it in your hand right now, a slab of black glass, cold to the touch. It seems inert. It seems like a tool. A hammer is a tool. It waits for you to pick it up. A screwdriver is a tool. It does only what your hand commands. But this is not a tool. This is a predator, and it is feeding. We have spoken of the leaks in your vessel, but leaks imply an accident. Leaks imply a flaw in the design. What is happening to you is not an accident. It is a heist. You are the victim of the most sophisticated energy extraction operation in the history of the human species. You are living in the age of algorithmic vampirism. There are trillions of dollars invested in Silicon Valley with a singular objective: to harvest your shen, to fracture your attention, to ensure that you never, ever look inward. Because if you look inward, you stop scrolling. And if you stop scrolling, the machine stops making money. Let us look at the bait they use to trap you, the dopamine trap. Your brain is designed for the hunt. In the wild, when you found a berry bush or tracked a deer, your brain released dopamine. It was a reward molecule. It said, "Good job, you survived. Do this again." It was a rare, hard-earned chemical designed to reinforce survival behaviors. The algorithm has hacked this ancient circuit. Every time you pull down to refresh, you are pulling the handle of a slot machine. Will it be a funny video? Dopamine. Will it be a message from a lover? Dopamine. Will it be a shocking news headline? Dopamine. These are fast carbs for the soul. Just as processed sugar gives you a spike of blood glucose followed by a devastating crash, cheap dopamine gives you a spike of stimulation followed by a hollow emptiness. You are not consuming content, you are binging on neurochemical candy. And like any addict, you build a tolerance. The sunset no longer looks beautiful, it looks boring. Reading a book feels slow. Sitting in silence feels unbearable. You have fried your receptors. You are living in a permanent content hangover, a state of grey apathy where the only thing that makes you feel alive is the next hit. You are trading your jing, your life force, for a flicker of pixels. But the vampire takes more than just your focus, it takes your peace. Let us speak of the thief of joy, comparison. The Stoics warned us 2,000 years ago, envy is the ulcer of the soul. But Marcus Aurelius did not have Instagram. He did not have to look at the curated, filtered, highlighted lives of 10,000 other emperors every morning before he got out of bed. When you open that app, you are instantly transported into a coliseum of comparison. You see someone younger than you making more money. You see someone fitter than you on a beach you cannot afford. You see a relationship that looks perfect, even if it is rotting behind the scenes. What happens to your energy in that moment? A gap opens up. The gap between your reality and the illusion on the screen. Into that gap pours your insecurity, your shame, your envy. Envy is the most calorie-expensive emotion in the human spectrum. It burns hotter than rage. It is a grinding, friction-filled state where you are actively fighting your own existence. You are burning the fuel needed to build your empire just by watching theirs. You are sitting on your couch, motionless, yet your internal engine is redlining with jealousy. You are exhausted, not because you worked hard, but because you spent 3 hours wishing you were someone else. This is a massive hemorrhage of chi. And while you are distracted by the shiny lives of others, the machine attacks your nervous system directly. The notification, the ding, the buzz, the flash. We have normalized this. We shouldn't. To your Paleolithic brain, a sudden sharp noise meant one thing: danger. A twig snapping in the dark. A predator approaching. Every time your phone buzzes, your body releases a microdose of cortisol. Your heart rate variability drops. Your muscles tense. You enter fight or flight. Now, imagine this happening 200 times a day. You are sitting in a safe, air-conditioned office. There are no tigers. There are no wars. But your nervous system is in the trenches of the Somme. You are living in a state of low-grade, chronic warfare. You are hyper-vigilant. You are jumpy. You are brittle. You cannot access deep work or flow states because you are constantly guarding the perimeter, waiting for the next digital attack. You are exhausted because you have been flinching for 10 years straight. And finally, the vampire takes the one thing you need to heal. It steals the night. For millions of years, biology was simple. The sun goes down, the blue light fades, the fire is lit red light, melatonin rises, the body prepares for deep cellular repair. The Jing is restored. We have killed the night. We live in the eternal noon. You lie in bed. It is 11 p.m. But you are staring into a blue light torch. You are blasting your retinas with the spectrum of the midday sun. You are signaling to your pineal gland, it is not time to sleep. It is time to hunt. It is time to be alert. So, your body suppresses melatonin. It delays the release of growth hormones. It keeps your core temperature high. You might fall unconscious eventually, purely out of exhaustion. But you do not sleep. You do not enter the deep delta waves where the spirit is scrubbed clean. You linger in the shallows, tossing, turning, your biology confused, your circadian rhythm shattered. You wake up the next morning, and the cycle repeats. The caffeine, the open tabs, the dopamine spikes, the comparison, the artificial light. You are a battery that is never allowed to charge, plugged into a machine that drains you faster than you can regenerate. Is it any wonder you feel dead? You are being eaten alive. This is not a metaphor. This is an extraction economy. Your exhaustion is their profit margin. Your confusion is their business model. If you want to reclaim your energy, you cannot just try harder. You cannot just download a meditation app on the very device that is killing you. You must rebel. You must build a wall around your Shen. You must treat your attention not as cheap change to be thrown at every distraction, but as the gold bullion of your life. The diagnosis is complete. You know why you are leaking. You know who the enemy is. Now we must build the defense. We must move from philosophy to protocol. We must learn how the monk seals the vessel, how the Stoic builds the inner citadel, and how you, in the center of this digital chaos, can become untouchable. It is time for the monk's protocol. To stop the bleeding, we must adopt a philosophy of ruthless subtraction. In the West, when we have a problem, we try to add a solution. We add pills, we add apps, we add routines, we add complexity. The monk does the opposite. The monk subtracts. He removes the interference so that the signal can return. He removes the stones so the river can flow. You do not need a new morning routine filled with 10 different biohacks. You need a not-to-do list. You need to build a fortress around your Jing and stand guard at the gate with a spear. This is the monk's protocol. 5 rituals. Not easy, not convenient, but necessary. Ritual 1. The guardian of the threshold. The most critical battle of your day is fought in the first 10 seconds after you wake up. When you open your eyes, your mind is in a rare, sacred state. The Shaolin masters call it the virgin mind. It is like fresh, unmarked snow. It is pure potential. It is sensitive, malleable, and deeply connected to the subconscious. In this state, you have access to deep insight. You have access to your own internal compass. But what do? You reach for the portal, you grab the phone, and you let the world trample the snow. Before you have even stood up, you have invited 1,000 strangers into your bedroom. You have let the algorithm dictate your emotional state. You have let the news cycle plant fear in your soil. You have let your boss's email rush into your sanctuary. You have sold your virgin mind for cheap information. The protocol is absolute. The 90-minute rule. For the first 90 minutes of your day, the phone does not exist. It remains in another room. Ideally, it remains off. This is not a productivity tip. This is spiritual hygiene. You must reclaim the morning. In that silence, you do not consume, you create, you pray, you move, you write, you stare at a wall. It does not matter what you do as long as it comes from inside you, not from a server in California. By protecting this time, you seal the biggest leak of the day. You tell your Shen, I am the master of this house. No one enters until I say so. Ritual 2. Samu, the art of the single stroke. We have spoken of the open tabs. The only way to close them is through the practice of Samu work as meditation. Modern hustle culture glorifies multitasking. It tells you to listen to an audiobook while you answer emails, while you eat lunch. It tells you this is efficient. It is a lie. It is madness. It is the scattering of the light. The monk washes the bowl. When the monk washes the bowl, the universe consists only of the bowl, the water, and the hand. He is not thinking about enlightenment. He is not thinking about the next prayer session. He is entirely fused with the act of washing. This is how you must approach your life. Digital asceticism means single tasking. If you are writing a report, you are only writing. The phone is in a drawer, the music is off, the other tabs are closed. If you are eating, you are only eating. You are not watching YouTube. You are tasting the food. If you are walking, you are only walking. No podcast, no noise, just the sound of your feet on the pavement. This will feel painful at first. Your dopamine-addicted brain will scream. It will beg for stimulation. It will panic in the silence. Let it scream. Watch the scream, but do not feed it. By doing one thing at a time, you align your chi. You stop the friction. You stop the heat loss. You will find that when you do only one thing, you are not tired at the end of it. You are energized, because the action was pure. Ritual 3. The Pillar of Iron, Zhuang. The midday crash. It is 3 p.m. Your eyes are heavy. Your focus is slipping. The fog has returned. Your instinct is to reach for the coffee, to whip the exhausted horse. Do not do it. Instead, do what the masters have done for 15 centuries. Stand like a tree. Zhuang. Standing meditation. You stand up. You place your feet shoulder-width apart. You sink your hips. You raise your arms as if hugging a large tree, and you hold it. You do not move. In the West, we think exercise must be kinetic. We think we must run, jump, and lift to generate energy. But the Taoists know that static tension generates the deepest flow. When you hold this stance, your legs will shake, your shoulders will burn. Good, this stress is not destructive, it is constructive. You are forcing your nervous system to wake up. You are demanding structural integrity. You are opening the deep vascular channels that have been compressed by your chair. 5 minutes of Zhuang is worth 2 hours of a caffeine nap. It reboots the system. It flushes the stagnant blood. It forces the qi to drop from your overactive head down into your center, your dantian. You replace a chemical stimulant with a biological activation. You become a pillar connecting heaven and earth. Ritual 4. The evening audit, closing the ledger. You cannot sleep because your RAM is full. Your brain is terrified that it will forget something important, so it keeps the loops spinning all night. You must give your brain permission to let go. You must perform an exorcism of the day's data. This is the Stoic Review. Before you sleep, 1 hour before you take a pen and paper, not a phone, paper. You write down everything that is currently open in your mind, every worry, every unfinished task, every resentment, every idea. You move it from the volatile memory of the brain to the permanent storage of the paper. You say to your mind, it is written, it is safe, you can stand down. This is the ritual of closing the tabs. When you see the list on paper, you detach from it. You are no longer carrying the backpack. You have set it on the floor. Only when the vessel is empty can it be filled by the restorative power of sleep. If you go to bed full of noise, you will wake up full of noise. Empty the cup. Ritual 5. The blade of cold. We have become too soft. We live in climate-controlled boxes. We sleep in soft beds. We take hot showers. We eat soft food. We have removed all hormetic stress from our lives. Hormesis is the biological principle that says, what hurts you in a small dose makes you stronger. Without stress, the body becomes lethargic. It thinks it is dying, so it conserves energy. It goes into hibernation mode. You must shock it back to life. You must reintroduce the blade of cold. Contrast therapy. End your shower with 60 seconds of purely cold water. Or practice intense, hyper-oxygenating breathwork, Tumo or Wim Hof style. Why? Because the cold forces you into the present moment. You cannot worry about your taxes when freezing water is hitting your skin. You cannot doom-scroll in your mind when you are gasping for air. It resets the vagus nerve. It spikes norepinephrine, the body's natural focus chemical. It tells your biology, we are alive. Wake up. This is not masochism. This is a reminder to your ancient spirit that you are still a creature of the elements, not a creature of the sofa. These are the 5 seals. Protect the morning, focus the action, stand like a tree, empty the mind, embrace the cold. If you do these things, you will stop the bleeding, the leaks will close, the vessel will begin to hold water again. But simply having energy is not enough. A full battery is useless if it is not connected to a machine that has a purpose. You can have all the Jing, Qi, and Shen in the world, but if you do not know who you are, you will simply waste it again on higher definition distractions. We have fixed the vehicle. Now we must look at the driver. We must ask the final, terrifying question. What are you saving this energy for? The answer to that question will determine whether you live or merely exist. You see, there is a final, uncomfortable truth about your exhaustion, a truth that no doctor will tell you and no blood test will reveal. You are not tired because you are doing too much. You are tired because you are doing too little of what matters. You are suffering from spiritual boredom. Your soul is not broken, it is on strike. It has cut the power lines to your muscles and your mind because it refuses to fuel a life that it does not believe in. Think about the video game character, the NPC, the non-player character. He walks the same path every day. He says the same lines. He has no agency. He has no risk. He has no destiny. Does an NPC need energy? No. He only needs enough code to repeat the loop. If you feel heavy, it is because you are playing the role of the NPC in your own life. You go to a job that does not challenge you. You hang around people who do not inspire you. You scroll through feeds of people living lives you are too afraid to pursue. You are bored. And boredom is a metabolic poison. The exact moment you decide to take responsibility for your existence, the energy will return. Have you ever noticed that when a crisis hits a car accident, a family emergency, a sudden deadline, your tiredness vanishes instantly? Where did that energy come from? It was always there. It was locked behind the door of necessity. Energy is not a resource you hoard. Energy is a byproduct of purpose. The universe does not give jet fuel to a parked car. It gives fuel to the rocket that is already igniting its engines. You must exit the matrix of consumption. You have spent your life sitting in the audience, watching the movie. Get on the stage. Stop watching people live. Start living. Stop watching people build businesses. Build one. Stop watching people get fit. Train. When you shift from consumer to creator, you tap into a different frequency of chi. You are no longer a bucket trying to hold water. You become the river. The water flows through you, and because it flows, it is fresh, it is powerful, and it is endless. This brings us to the ultimate state, the summit of the mountain, Wu Wei. In the West, we translate Wu Wei as effortless action. But the lazy man hears effortless and thinks it means lying on the couch. The master hears action. Wu Wei is not passivity. It is the state of total alignment. It is the surfer on the wave. If the surfer fights the wave, he drowns. He burns all his energy and dies. If the surfer ignores the wave, he sinks. But if he aligns with the wave, if he uses the momentum of the ocean to propel him forward, he moves with the force of a god, yet his muscles are relaxed. This is how you must live in the 21st century. The modern world is a chaos of noise, data, and stress. Do not fight it. Do not let it drown you. Ride it. Use the technology, but do not be used by it. Use the money, but do not be owned by it. Move with the current of reality, but steer your own board. When you achieve this state, you will never be tired again. You may be physically exhausted, yes. Your muscles may ache after a day of building your legacy, but your spirit, your Shen, it will be burning with a cold, white fire that nothing can extinguish. But words are cheap. Insight is useless without action. We have come to the end of this transmission, and now you face the final test. Right now, you are holding a device, a black mirror. The algorithm is already loading the next video. It wants to show you a cat, or a dance, or a tragedy. It wants to keep you in the loop. It wants to put you back to sleep. Do not let it. I am going to stop speaking. When this video ends, do not scroll. Do not check the comments. Do not click like. Turn off the screen. Put the device face down. And sit in silence for 5 minutes. Feel the withdrawal. Feel the itch. Feel the silence. And in that silence, introduce yourself to the stranger who has been living in your body. You are not a data point. You are not a consumer. You are a vessel of infinite light. Seal the leaks. Focus the beam. Wake up.